Cameron Smith has run from dummy half and scores a grand final try.
Dylan Kevin scored try number 4.
Welcome to the Captain's Run with Cameron Smith and Denon Kemp on SEN.
What an intro. What an intro.
Hang on. Where have they pulled that from?
Mate, I
Kempy?
don't know, but I tell you what, this last 24 hours for me have been absolutely outstanding.
Yes.
Getting a start in the intro, Smithy.
Oh, that's so good.
Mate, that warms my heart, Smithy.
Was that the night you scored 4?
Yes, against the Para Eels on the buzzer there.
And it was called by the great man, Ray
Mate,
Warren.
Rabbits. Every time I see the try and then I hear the great Rabs calling out Kemp down the sideline, it makes me go, that's crazy. That's like he's calling
So good.
my name, the great Rabs. So whoever put that in, thank you so much for doing that. I really do appreciate it. Go home, tell the wife. Bit of a big deal now.
So what about that? So you got the intro on the Captain's Run now?
Yes.
And what else?
Mate, I tell you what else. So
Okay.
I'm flying up yesterday, Smithy.
Yep.
Fly up. I actually enjoy the trip up here. I enjoy it. Get back to the Gold Coast
Yes.
and, just breaks the week up and get to see Smithy, obviously. Anyway, so...
Thanks, mate.
Mate, it's a big part of my week. Anyway, so I'm flying up, normal day. I decide to book the casino. Usually I stay at somewhere a little bit not as nice as the casino, but I decided to book the casino, spoil myself.
Mm-hmm.
And so I booked the casino. I rock up, get to the counter.
Right.
And the lady goes, oh, yeah, are you just staying by yourself? Have you got anyone that's coming with you? And I was like, oh, no, that's a bit weird that she's asking that, but all good. Anyway, she gets it all done.
It is a casino.
Yeah, exactly. Anyway, so she gets it all done and she goes, oh, you've been upgraded. And I was like, oh, cool. It's one of those typical, you've gone from, the cheapest to
Single
to
room.
double or something along those lines. He's like, no. She's like, oh, no, you've been upgraded to the penthouse.
What?
The penthouse.
Oh.
So I go up to the Star Casino penthouse by myself last night. Beautiful views. They reckon it's like over $1,000 a night to stay there.
Oh.
I
wow.
couldn't believe it. So I'm living the dream in the penthouse. And the only thing I could think, Smithy, have you had a hand in getting me out of the penthouse? Because they reckon Smithy is the boss of the Gold Coast. That's what they reckon.
Oh, please. No, hey, listen, I would claim that if I did have something to do with it, but no, they've just obviously the wonderful lady behind the reception.
Incredible.
She's a huge Beat fan.
Oh, I mean, we cater to all demographics, all that kind of stuff. It was actually, you know what? It made my week. It's something that I'll talk about for a very long time.
I'll tell you what you need to do. You need to get on. You need to ring the bride.
I know.
Say, get up here.
I've dropped the ball there, Smithy.
Yeah,
okay. I rang her straight away, but I didn't think that they would give. I didn't want to push me luck. Put it that way. I didn't want to go back down there and say, "Can you give me a couple more nights in the penthouse?"
That's fair enough.
But you're right. I should have played a bit of eyes up footy. Matty John's favourite saying, eyes up footy.
Yep.
And I should have called the wife and said, "Look, get up here, spend the night.
Yes.
Let's." And as a matter of fact,
Enjoy
I could have told the wife that I bought it. I was like, I paid for this for you. She would have been like, yeah, that's a joke. That's a joke. You didn't do that. But thank you, Star Casino, for upgrading me to the penthouse. That is truly the first time I've ever stayed in a penthouse. And I tell you what.
You won't be going back.
I won't be going back because that's $1,000 a night. It's a lot of cash.
No, I mean, like you will be going back, but you won't be going back like below anything.
Oh,
back
that's
down
what
the bottom.
Okay, okay. I'm with you.
That's what I meant.
I'm with
you're
you.
100% going back to Star.
It was unbelievable. Hey, look, the other people, they live different. The people at the top, they live different.
It's a different world.
Different world up there, but it was absolutely incredible. Thank you, Star Casino. It really did make my week, and it was a beautiful, beautiful.
That's what I was about to say. You look fresh,
mate. I'm feeling fresh.
Fresh as.
We're about to embark on the best radio 3 hours of all time. Just going to throw it out there. That's going to throw it out there. But yeah, thank you, Star Casino. I really do appreciate it. But we've got huge things to talk about, Smithy. Huge things to talk about.
A lot happening.
A lot happening. Your boy, Harry Grant, has a groin injury. Now, this says a lot of two things. Obviously, the Melbourne Storm already struggling massively with injury. Yep. But Queensland selection is just around the corner.
Oh, yep.
Where's your head at?
And, well, I found this out. I was speaking with Bill Slater. He was bringing up just to talk a few things, Origin and whatnot, and just a couple personal stuff, just checking in, whatnot. But he was at the Storm yesterday, and Harry Grant was leaving the training paddock, and he was sort of in a bit of discomfort with a groin complaint. Yet to know how bad it is. Myself never had a groin injury in my life, so I don't know sort of what's going on there. But we'll have to wait and see, I guess. Some scans and some medical treatment from the staff down at the Melbourne Storm to determine how bad it is. I don't think he's going to play tonight. I'm pretty sure, and that's public news as well, that he sustained that groin injury and he's out tonight. But I don't know what that means for Queensland because I'm pretty sure he was going to be a part of that Queensland footy side, been playing outstanding this year. Although the Storm have suffered a couple of losses, he's been in great form. So, but this is rugby league, and this is why there's so much interest in Origin. There's so much drama. Have a look at New South Wales at the moment. With some of the stars unavailable, particularly for Game 1, with the injuries that they've suffered, and that's why you don't get too far ahead of yourself, particularly with State of Origin, because there's another week's football to be played still. There's tonight, a couple of games tomorrow, and then across the weekend over Saturday and Sunday. You really don't lock any team in until that final game has been played, and you know that everyone has come out and is healthy, ready to go.
It's much more complicated as well than simply, okay, Grant's may or may not be injured, next man up, because the interesting thing about Grant, if he is injured for Origin, is game plans completely change, because you would have to say Benny Hunt, maybe Reid Marnie are in the wings waiting. They're different players to Grant. They're not similar, especially Reid Marnie. He's quite a different player to Grant. So would it change the whole game plan? How much does it affect Queensland's game plan going forward?
It may change slightly because they bring different aspects of footy to that team and to the game plan. So, you can still build a similar style of footy around them. But, Harry Grant is very much a runner of the football. Reid Marnie, not so much, but he's got a kicking game, whereas Harry, not so much right now in his career. Harry's got a short kicking game that he's used for the Storm quite well this year. But, long kicks, Reid Marnie has a more of a long kicking game than what Harry does, so that you'd exploit that if Harry's not fit to go. Let's not sort of get too far ahead of ourselves. Like, he's not ruled out of the Queensland footy side, and I'm sure if he's any chance of playing, I'm sure Bill will give him that opportunity, at least to be ready to go. Before the weekend. Of Camp 1. I'm thinking he'll need to be up and running and training and ready to go. If you look back to last year, that was a bit of an issue for Queensland in the lead up to some of those matches in the preparation. There was injured players entering that camp.
Harry and Munster.
Well, they were a couple of them in the first game, weren't they? They hadn't played for a while, and a couple of players under injury cloud went into those camps and didn't train for the most part of the preparation. So their preparation wasn't great last year. So I think that's lesson learned, and certainly one noted by Bill, that he wants a fit side going into Game 1 particularly. Particularly.
Wow.
That he can have a strong preparation where he's got 17 players on the park for all of the training sessions.
Okay. Very, very interesting. I mean, Origin, we love the drama. Now on the other side, when we talk about drama, Latrell Mitchell, now Tom Trbojevic has gone down.
Yes.
There's no denying New South Wales have depth, but losing a guy like Latrell and Tom, it changes quite a lot for New South Wales. What do you think is going to happen there?
Well, it does, but the players that you'd suggest would fill those roles in Crichton and Katoni Staggs, they bring different strengths to that footy side. Now they don't have that sort of type of X factor that Latrell Mitchell and Tommy bring to that footy side, where they can sort of break a game open from anywhere. You look at Katoni Staggs, he's a much more aggressive style player. And plays a very physical style of footy. Compared to like a Tommy Turbo. So, he brings different aspects to that. If Crichton's there, which I really think he will be, given the presence of other Penrith players, he brings a confidence of being next to those guys for his entire career. He's playing with guys like Luai and Cleary, Brian To'o, Isaiah Yeo. You know, so there's a ready-made combination.
Yeah.
For him to slip into. So, you know, it'd be almost like, sure, it's a step up in intensity and physicality throughout the entire match, but it's almost like he's playing with his club side.
Yeah.
Really.
Yeah, it really is.
So it's different, but at the same time, they bring different strengths to that New South Wales side if they're named, which I think both of those players will be.
It's really interesting because I look at a guy like Crichton, and he's got such a unique frame. It'll be interesting to see if New South Wales go for him, whether on fifth and last they swap Crichton. When they're on their try line defending, they swap Crichton and To'o for those crossfield kicks.
Oh, yeah, just defending, so a taller player out on the edge.
Against a potentially Coates or Oates or whoever gets selected there. But even like, you know, even Talangi is quite tall. Even, you know, Coates, Oates, all tall. Selwyn tall if he gets selected. So it does seem like the Queensland will have tall wingers regardless of who is selected.
Yeah, I think so. As you said, Tuolangi's probably the shortest of the lot that Queensland have to pick from.
He's still probably 6 foot 2.
But he's great in the air.
Yeah.
He's great in the air. Yeah. They must have done a lot of... Have you noticed how many tries they're scoring from kicks, the Cowboys?
Mate,
like Jeremiah
crazy.
Nanai's getting on the end of them as well. So they're all pretty good in the air, the Cowboys, chasing, attacking kicks. But... If that was to happen, then that's just the Queensland players need to adapt on the run. So if they want to be swapping, if Crichton's there with To'o, they're playing together and they're swapping on the fifth tackle to defend kicks.
Yeah.
Then the kickers for Queensland just need to adapt and change their kicks. Like just put it on To'o's head.
Absolutely. And just quickly, really interesting with the Origin for New South Wales. You know, we spoke about Staggs and potentially Crichton getting that centre spot. Does that make Whiten's position a lock at 14, or do you think that would make Hines miss out, or do you bring Hines at 14? What would you do in that situation?
Well, you've got Jack Whiten still. He could possibly get picked in one of those centre positions. And that's what I was saying.
Yeah.
I'd suggest it would be Staggs and Crichton, given their form this year. They're both in great form. Both players in their respective sides are winning a lot of football at the moment, so they're coming in with a lot of confidence. Jack Whiten a little bit different at the Raiders, although he's had some strong matches. But you'd probably say at the moment he may be looking at a 14 role.
Yeah.
But then do you leave Nico Hines out? I just think it's really hard to leave Nico Hines out given the form he's in and the versatility that he brings to the footy side.
Yeah.
He can play any position in the back line, and you can play him as a floating, say, 13, like ruck player.
Yeah.
As a link player like a Isaiah Yeo. Isaiah Yeo can play 80 though. But you could throw him in at, if something was to happen to your 9, whether that be Damien Cook or Abby Coruscant, I think they'll stick with Damien Cook.
Yeah.
He could jump in there and do a role for you. But just the versatility and the ability that he brings, like
so silky.
His ability to put people into space.
Yeah.
To put people across the try line, like across the last season and a half, like he's in the top 5 at least,
easy,
if not in the top 3 for line break assists, try assists.
Absolutely.
So he's in great touch at the moment.
Well, I think he's number 1 right now in the comp.
So it's almost hard to leave him out. I could understand if they opted for, say, Jack Whiten to be in that footy side because he's such a competitor. And you hear the term built for Origin a lot. He's that type of player.
Yeah.
Because he plays that aggressive physical style of footy. But I don't know. It's really hard to leave someone like a Nico Hines out.
It's just so interesting because there's so much more to selection than form. It's combinations.
Absolutely.
It's game plans.
It's really putting together a 17 that you think is going to complement each other. And you got to, and I've heard both, Bill Slater and Brad Fittler talk about planning for scenarios, whether it be, illness, HIA, 10 in the bin, because the HIA and the sin binning are so prevalent in the game right now. All you need to do is just, be wrong-footed, throw an arm out, whack someone across the chops accidentally, and you could be in the bin for 10 minutes.
Yeah, that's so true.
That quickly changes the dynamics of your footy side.
Well, even, to further that point when it comes to different players complementing and scenarios happening. Remember a couple of years ago when Queensland won, Tedesco gets knocked out first 10 minutes, and it was actually Pappenhausen that was maybe going to be selected at 14, and then Freddie went with a different direction. And a lot of people were saying that if you had have selected Pappenhausen,
hindsight,
hindsight, exactly, it is hindsight.
Yeah.
But and so of course, like, how was Freddie supposed to know? But
That's
it's
right.
just a scenario that he may envision going forward. He may go Cleary. If Cleary goes down, I've got Hines there. If Luai goes down, I've got Hines there.
Well, that's why I was leaning, and like at the end of the day, my opinion doesn't matter as far as New South Wales goes. I'm just saying, if I was in that position, or just thinking out loud, Nicho Hines covers so many positions. Every position. If you have an issue with any position in the back line, he can play there. And if a dummy half was to have some issues too, he could jump in and fill that role.
Absolutely. And he's got the wettest hair in the country. We all know that that's his superpower. Make sure to call in 1300 01 1170. Give us a call and ask Smithy your footy questions, or text us 0457 736 736. After the break, we're going to preview tonight's absolutely huge clash. Welcome back to the Captain's Run with the great Smithy and myself. Now, Smithy, I want to take you down memory lane.
Okay.
One of the most famous matches, pretty much regular season matches, was the Great Storm versus Manly. It was at Manly, whereas obviously Manly versus Storm tonight is in Melbourne. But talk us through the rivalry that seemed to spring. I think it sprung out of the fact that you both were dominant teams that just would want to win at any lengths.
Yep.
Where did it kind of start for you? And now it's a genuine rivalry.
Yeah. Well, it started, I think, in 2007 when we first matched up in the grand final.
Yes.
Of 07, and then, of course, the following year in 08. As you mentioned, both footy sides were quite dominant through that period of, through sort of 07 all the way through to maybe 2011. I think Manly played in the 2011. They won the 2011 premiership.
I think they played 13 as well. Got beaten by the Roosters.
Yeah, they won the premiership against Warriors.
Yep.
And then again, so just two really strong footy sides through that sort of period of time where very competitive, didn't really have a lot of liking for each other. And I think that match you're talking about was the Battle of Brookie.
The Battle of Brookie.
Where things just exploded. It all come about from it was a Darcy Lussick, Ryan Hinchcliffe sort of incident, should I say. And things erupted slightly. Everyone came running in. And then it was Adam Blair and then Glennie Stewart that got sin-binned.
Yeah.
And just... Shane Hayne was refereeing, I think, and he sent him to the bin, but didn't really leave too much of a gap between two players. And it was already like the stakes were high, and everyone's sort of emotions were quite high at the time. But yeah, they met up just before they got to the sideline, before they left the field, and it was just chaos.
What was the great Smithy doing in the brouhaha? Were you just jumping around, helping the boys out?
Yeah, I was just, come on, boys, get out of it, come on.
Stop
it.
it.
Let's go back and play footy. No, I think I grabbed Matty Bellin. I said,
Hooker crime.
Fellow Queenslander as well. We weren't going to hurt each other. But no, I was in there. I think I ran down there and just trying to break it up, really. Just trying to... I was actually... I reckon it was the only time I'd ever been on a footy field and just a little bit concerned about what was going to happen post.
Yeah, the crowd was crazy.
Oh, they were crazy.
Yes.
They were crazy. Mate. They were hanging over the fences, banging the fences, yelling things out, as all the things you can imagine. But it was that bad. Like, it spilled over. Like, it was that bad where, like, some of the staff, like the footy staff, were in there trying to break the
boys
fight up, and trainers were getting involved. Like, there was sanctions for water runners and everything. Like, guys from each bench got involved, and they were, I think, may have got a week suspension, or maybe just like a letter of concern or something, whatever it was. But from there, that was the height of it. Yeah, that was the height of it. That's as bad as it got. But through that little period, there wasn't really too much love lost between the two clubs. But I think over time, that sort of, and with the way teams are performing and whatnot, that sort of, it dissipates a little bit. Yeah. Whereas you look at Melbourne now, their greatest rivalry, you would say, would be against Penrith.
Yeah, for sure.
Right now,
for sure.
And that's because of, through 2020. and 2021, where it's the two dominant sides really.
Yeah.
You know, every time they come up against each other, they're saying, "Well, who's the big dog? You know, who's the team that's actually running this competition and the benchmark?"
Yeah, absolutely. Just back to that moment. As a captain, what is because you don't want to stop the boys from being aggressive because you want to win that battle. The next set of 6 or a couple of sets of 6, it's so important that you win that battle. So important that you win that battle. How do you get them to play responsibly and after the blue, so you get them to calm down a little bit, but not calm down too much? What are you saying to the boys after that?
Any time we had any type of disruption with a bit of a punch on or whatever, in the back half of my career, that you didn't have to worry about it too much. It was just push and shove because you're not allowed to punch, not allowed to fight. But in the first part of my captaincy, you were still allowed to throw punches and whatnot, and you get into little scuffles. But it was more about trying to settle down as quickly as possible and trying to re-establish what we were there trying to do, and that was to play a game of footy.
Yeah.
You know, fighting is not going to win a game of football. True. For me, as the captain, it was always about executing the game plan and really trying to get that done because the ultimate goal was to win the footy game.
Yeah.
So it was really just trying to get their mindset or their concentration back on the game of football, and sometimes that's hard, particularly for the guys that were involved in the fight, and they may still be a little bit frustrated by what had happened. But it's really just trying to get their mind back on the job as quickly as possible.
Now, tonight, though, you've got Hughes comes back in. We've still got Meaney at the fullback. Grant has been ruled out, but Brandon Smith, the Dally M hooker, goes into hooker. So I think that they'll be good in the hooking area.
Yeah, I think they'll be good.
Where do you see, because I guess most people are going to assume Storm are going to get the job done. How do you think Manly bounce back after such a devastating loss last week? You know, there's a few tough calls against them. They lose Tommy. Is there a way to victory for Manly tonight?
Well, I think there is, and let's be fair to Manly. I know they lost Tommy sort of late in the game last week, but they were winning by 4 points with 90 seconds to go against Parramatta. Okay, so that they were in the lead. They had an opportunity to win that footy game, and I don't think they played particularly well. Like in patches, they were pretty good.
Yeah.
What they did do was they completed their sets really well, and it was a pretty sort of challenging night as far as the conditions were concerned. It was really slippery before kickoff. It had rained all day in Sydney. They got a little bit of rain throughout the match, so that I think if they take that aspect of the game down to Melbourne tonight, which I think it's going to be dry. It's really strange. It hasn't rained in Melbourne all year, but we're copying it in Queensland and New South Wales. But anyway. If they take that down there, which I think they need to do, where they complete high, I think they finish the game with maybe 80% completions. So if you do that in any match, you're going to be in it.
Yeah. And
particularly without, Tom tonight, Marty Tapau's out as well. He sustained an injury last week also. But if they can go down there and complete their sets really well, high completion, have a fair share of possession also, they're a really good chance. What makes it harder is that Jerome Hughes is back, and that not only does that bring a bit more sort of a feeling of comfort for the players in the Melbourne Storm, having their general, their number 7 back, their organiser. What it does then is also it takes a lot of pressure off Cameron Munster.
Yeah, for sure.
I think we've seen in the last couple of weeks he doesn't overly enjoy that role of having to organise.
Yeah,
he likes having someone there that executes the game plan for the footy side, instructs people where they need to be, where they need to run to set up their plays that they're going to put on, and he can just feel like he can roam around the field, and when he sees an opportunity, that's when he gets the ball.
Yeah, absolutely. It's I cannot wait for tonight's match. It's going to be an absolute classic. We've got a text here. Shout out to the GOAT. Didn't like him 20 years ago, but last Friday at the footy in the field club.
Yep.
Meet him, and even though he was busy with Channel 9, he took time to say hi and chat with the boys, and turns out he's a good bloke. Thumbs up. Still a dirty Queenslander for the next 6 weeks. But respect is due when you meet the GOAT. We've also got, good morning, gentlemen. Can you see any hope for the Roosters' attack? Although they were missing Verrills, Radley and Tupanua against the Penrith, the ball movement is very limited and way too much lateral stuff. The attack last year was more creative, even allowing for the horrendous injury toll.
I still think they got improvement in them, the Roosters.
Yeah, absolutely.
They're not playing and they're not where they should be. They're a much better footy side than what they're showing at the moment. And I think they'll bounce back this week.
Yeah,
I do. We'll preview that game a bit later, but I think they'll bounce back.
I agree. I think they'll. I think last week there were moments. You got to remember, 60 minutes of the game, they were really, really in it. Anyway, we're going to head to a break. Make sure to call in 1300 01 1170. Ask your footy questions, or give us a text 0457 736. After the break, we'll continue previewing the round of footy. Plus, we've got best hand segment later. And we've also got the Bailey's ladder update. See you after the break. We've got plenty of texts coming in, so make sure to call in. But we've got a caller here, Pedro the Rooster.
Pedro.
Are you there, Pedro?
Morning, boys. How you going?
Good, mate.
Thanks.
Mate, this one for Cam. There's been a bit of criticism about Brandon Smith and him coming to the Roosters next year and the way he's playing. I think unfounded. I think he's going to be slotting in next year very much in the Jake Friend type player. I think that's what the Roosters have been lacking. And as good as Verrills has been, he's been unlucky with injury, and they just haven't had that since Jake retired. What are your thoughts, Cam?
Yeah, I think, what's the criticism been? That he's not sort of like a Premiership 9 type of player. He's not going to bring a Premiership. Is that what the criticism has been?
No. I think maybe Brace or a couple of others. I mean, we're criticising when he was running or running too much. Now, he hasn't been playing all that much hooker, has he? He's only been slotting back in since Harry's been injured.
Yeah, well, that's right. And so this year, Pedro, like he's played spits and spurts at number 9, and it's really only been when he's needed to go there because of Harry Grant having the 9 jersey now. So I don't believe he spent a lot of time there in the preseason. But if you just think, it's funny how these comments come about Brandon Smith, and I don't think it's the right fit for the Roosters. Him being number 9, not even 12 months ago, he was the best hooker in the competition. Like, let's not forget about that. And we had every so-called expert, and I say that with, is that inverted commas?
Quotation marks.
Quotation marks. Expert of rugby league, absolutely standing up and applauding Brandon Smith.
Yeah.
Okay.
Sure.
So let's not. Some people have got short memories.
Yeah.
So they start criticising him for some of the football that he's played this year. Not so long ago, everyone was up and applauding how such a great season he had, and he was the best dummy half in the competition. Hands down.
I think he'll spot him well. I think he'll really tighten up that middle, which at times has been pretty weak for the Roosters.
Yeah, look, I think he'll do a great job there. There's no doubt about that. It's a great system. Everyone knows that about the Roosters. They've got a great coaching staff there. He'll go up there and he'll play well. What he'll do is he'll bring that running game back to the number 9 jersey, which I think they've lacked a little bit over the. And to be fair to the Roosters, since Jake Friend retired, they've had 3 or 4 different players playing that position.
Yeah.
But he is an out-and-out player, and he's a competitor, so you do not have to invite him to run the football, which I think it'll bring that sort of forward momentum, getting all their other players on the front foot again when he gets up there.
Geary and Walker involved, yeah,
that's right.
Sure.
That's right.
Yeah, it's really interesting with a guy like Smithy, mate, because Brandon Smith, that is that when you become a headline or someone that when you put Brandon Smith in a headline, it gets a lot of clicks, it gets a lot of views. As soon as you're, even playing 10% less than you were last year, it's very easy to be like, well, let's target this guy now and make him the headline of negative news rather than positive news. And I think with Brandon Smith, he would just be an easy go-to when, we want views or we want clicks. For example, we talked about a couple of days ago, they were talking, some people on NRL 360 were talking about his tackling technique and how that may be something to be worried about. Please. When we were literally watching normal legs tackles and just players happen to get injured. So I think that's evidence of it's Brandon Smith. He's a big name now. He's a superstar. If it was any other player that was at a different club that wasn't a superstar, we wouldn't even be talking about it. And I think that goes to your point with the Roosters. Like Smithy said, wasn't even 4 months ago.
Yeah.
you wouldn't find a single person in rugby league that would have said that he wasn't the best 9 for 2021. So I think the Roosters have got an absolute steal on their hands, and I think he's going to be fantastic at the Roosters, mate.
I agree. Good on you, boys.
Mate,
Good on you,
thanks for
Pedro.
calling in, Pedro. I appreciate it. Now, we've got another text here. Smithy, with the news that Chanel Harris-Tavita is taking a break this week, so basically at the end of his contract this year, he will take a break away from rugby league and live his life, maybe travel, I'm not sure, but basically just needs a year away from rugby league. This text, Ryan says, have you ever, not Ryan, they're asking Smithy, have you ever been unfairly or harshly criticised and ever thought about taking a break from the game?
No, I'd never really had that sort of thought in my mind at all. And there's going to be times where, as a footballer, you're going to cop criticism for certain things. But at no stage did I ever contemplate walking away from the game or having to take a break. If Chanel feels strongly about that, then that's fair enough. It's completely a personal decision, and if he thinks that's the best thing for him, moving forward for his health, for his mental health, whatever it is, then that's fine. There's nothing wrong with that.
Yeah.
But yeah, for myself personally, no, I never ever sort of contemplated doing that.
Mate, I respect it because how many players are currently contracted and in squads that don't really want to be there? And he's got enough courage to come out and say, you know what, I don't want to be here. Well, he could have got a contract next year.
Yeah.
Easy.
Well, you'd suggest across maybe 3 or 4 sides in the competition, there'd be several players saying, look, I don't particularly want to be here right now.
Yep.
But yeah, this guy here for whatever reason it is, there could be multiple reasons, Kempy.
Yeah.
That he just feels like he needs a break from the game.
Mm-hmm.
He's going to do that, and he, as you said, he's had the courage to stand up and let that be known.
I really respect it. And also, a guy like Chanel, like he has gone through quite a few injuries over the last 24 months. This might be the best thing for his body. Go and, as long as he stays fit, keeps moving, let his body heal up without the contact. So I really respect it. I really do. We've got another text here. Hello, the GOAT in People's Beak. Do you think Wayne Bennett's connection to English footy, he will get some players over to the Dolphins? And if he does, is there any players you think would be a good fit or stand out in the NRL?
Well, I don't know about anyone in particular right now, but I'm sure with his connection to English Rugby League that he'd have some people in mind. And if you think about it, Kempy, it's actually not a bad ploy because those guys, they're not involved in State of Origin. So you're not going to lose English players to potentially 3 matches a year. So I know there's sort of some mid-season tests, but they usually play them in and around the break where the second State of Origin is played on a Sunday. But I think it's not a bad ploy. And if you're watching the Super League, and I know a lot of people think, it's a sort of it's a drop down from the NRL, and probably on the most part, there's not the same sort of consistent level that the NRL has week on week.
Yeah.
But there's some wonderful players playing in the Super League.
Oh, absolutely. And you got to remember, like, if they came over and were in NRL systems and pre-seasons, they're going to improve.
Well, that's right.
They're going to improve.
Especially under someone like Wayne Bennett.
Oh, absolutely. I've got another text here. Cam, how much money is it going to take you to get in the ring with Gal? I'm hearing whispers he's now set his sights on you, mate, for his next cash grab.
Has he got 1 fight left? Is that right?
Mate.
That's what I'm hearing. I spoke to Gal a couple of weeks ago. This is before his last fight. And I think he said, mate, I've got 2 fights left with his contract with whoever promotes his fights.
Yeah, no limit.
So I think that's his situation. I don't know. Like, will he fight another one? Will he fight a third?
I don't know if he can handle you, Smith. If I'm being honest here, I'm backing you all the way.
All right, hey, listen.
You let me know. I want to get some early money in.
If we're all being honest here, it's highly unlikely I'm going to jump in the ring with Gal. We've seen.
Money speaks, mate. Money speaks.
We've seen how tough he is. Is it Junior Bolo is going to take him?
Junior Bolo, yes, absolutely. That's a great fight, actually. That would be a great fight.
Is that going to happen?
Oh, I know Bolo would like to be available if Gallen is Keane.
Yes.
They fought before, and Bolo actually went really well, especially the first round. Then he kind of gassed out.
Okay.
Obviously, Gallen has improved a lot since then.
Yep.
But so has Junior Bolo. So I actually would love to see that fight. I would love to see that fight. We've got another text here. Everyone is saying Ben Hunt should be 14 for Queensland. But do you think AJ Brimson would be a better option as he can cover more roles, including fullback?
Oh, look, you got to think back to. At the moment, I don't think so. I think Ben Hunt's playing some really good football, although the Dragons have had mixed results across the season. But if there's been one standout for that footy side, it's been Ben Hunt. He's been great. Think back to last year. He plays game 3 as number 9. Played the entire game as the dummy half for Queensland. Picked up man of the match. Was a huge 2 tries. Huge reason as to why Queensland was able to salvage a victory in game 3. And it was pointed out that he's actually been voted over the last 3 series, Kempy. Ben Hunt has been voted Queensland's player of the series.
Wow.
2 times out of the last 3 years. So it's called the Ron McAuliffe medal.
Yeah.
He's picked up the Ron McAuliffe medal twice out of the last 3 series that he's been involved in.
So, I mean, he's almost, obviously you can't select now, but
No.
he's almost a lock.
Well, look, I'd like to think that Ben Hunt will be in that footy side. There's no doubt about that. And I completely understand the argument for AJ Brimson being there. But, Benny Hunt, he covers both positions in the halves, can play 9. As I've just mentioned, last year he was the man of the match, playing in that position. Can play as a link role as well. We were talking about that with the New South Wales side a bit earlier. And he's a kicker. He can kick the ball.
Yeah.
He's got a really strong kicking game. So I'm sure he'll feature somewhere. I don't think that's going to be a huge shock. That's not a scoop.
Yeah,
I'm pretty sure he's going to find himself in the Queensland side somewhere.
And just quickly, g'day boys, enjoy your show. Look forward to it every Thursday morning on the app here in Perth. What do you think is going wrong at the Titans? Cheers, Braden.
Well, I called this game on the weekend, right? Titans versus Sharks, and they had opportunities to win the match. They ended up losing by 7. Okay, losing by 7. There was a middle part of that game where it got away from them a little bit, and they were able to score a couple of tries late. It's just their completions and playing a little bit smarter. Like there was towards the end of that match, I felt, and I said this in commentary, that Toby Sexton, AJ Brimson, and Jaden Campbell, they needed to handle the ball nearly every tackle in the final 10 or 15 minutes. This is when they were down by what was it, 13 points, I think. Might have been a bit more, actually. They were down by 18. I think Nico Hines kicked the field goal a tad later.
Yeah.
But they were down by, they needed 3 converted tries, but they just kept playing to their middle forwards. And there's nothing wrong with that. I like middle forwards using the football together and having those short passes. But when the game, when you need points, when you need good decisions made all the time, they need to just, guys like Toby Sexton, AJ Brimson, they need to tell the big boys, hey boys, get behind me. Give me the ball. They need to be getting the ball straight away, need to be going at the line and ask the big boys to punch holes for them.
Yeah.
Inside and out, have option runners out the back. I just think they need to be a little bit smarter because they had a golden opportunity to beat the Sharks on the weekend.
Absolutely.
I'm being honest here. They just held on the Sharks.
No, mate, I totally agree. Especially, the tough thing for the Titans. I know he's coming next year, but geez, they could have used like a Foran or a Fogarty.
Well, yeah.
So look, they're young. They'll work it out. I'm sure they'll look at video and hopefully next game, when the game is on the line, they make the right decisions. The good thing is, at least they were in the match.
That's right.
They got themselves in the match.
And I'll tell you why. Big reason. I know we've got to go to a break quickly.
Yep.
Jaden Campbell. What a
good is he?
superstar.
Incredible.
Superstar.
Absolutely. He's got to stay in the side. They're a much better side with him in it. We're going to head to a break, but after the break, we've got our Best Hands segment. Best Hands by Schnitties.
Schnitz.
See you after the break.
Time now to break down the best hands in the NRL. Thanks to Schnitz, the best hands in the schnitzel business.
Welcome back to the Captain's Run. Every time I hear the Schnitz ad, I get hungry. Oh, I could be doing some Schnitz right now.
Yep.
Absolutely beautiful.
Yep.
Now, we've got Best Hands by Schnitz. What do we got this week, Smithy?
It's just the best hands in this competition. It just doesn't stop amazing me week on week. 1 point this week, Isaiah Papali'i. Did you see the Parramatta Manly game.
Crazy.
The back rowers and the skill that they have in this competition right now, just to be able to like that quick little tip onto their centre or winger, just crazy. Well, he tipped on this time to Penasini to score that match-winning try against Manly. Just outstanding. As I said, I mentioned in that that match how both teams really they competed and completed also really well in tough conditions, and that was just a great moment there by Papali'i. 2 points went to Daly Cherry Evans. Same game again. His 25-metre cutout pass to Tui Pilotu.
Wow.
That was just he knew he was going to be there, and he could just the great players they know they can almost sense that the opposition defenders are in field, and he just went across the field to his right and just it wasn't even a spiral pass.
Yeah,
it was just the old 6 o'clock pass where it was just end over end, hit him on the chest, and Tui Pilotu goes over and scores in the corner. But 3 points this week went to the young man on debut for the Broncos, Ezra Maum. Did you see? Surely you were watching the Broncos.
Mate, did I
Kempy?
see it? Come on, mate. I was up. I had my chair, mate. I was at my chair.
So he gets the ball from dummy half, right? He gets the ball from dummy half. It was a quick play the ball. I think it was Kurt Capewell. He got a quick play the ball. The marker wasn't set. There was only one marker there. He takes off from dummy half, right? And is about to get tackled. I think it was a 6 to go. But as he was getting tackled, he just flicked it across his back, like not looking. It was a no look flick pass across the back, which hit Billy Walters on the chest, and Billy Walters went over and scored it was the opening try against Newcastle, which was a great night. So there it is, the 3-2-1 for our best hands.
That was best hands thanks to Schnitz. Bite into golden, delicious, handcrafted Schnitz. After the break, we'll wrap up the first hour. Welcome back to the Captain's Run with Cameron Smith. I mean, what an hour it has been. We've talked about Origin. We've talked about Storm versus Manly. We've gone down memory lane. But Smithy, we've got some vouchers to give away, don't we?
We do. Texts and callers. We'll keep them coming in, guys. We've had 1,000 so far already, but one lucky winner is going to take away a $50 Schnitz voucher. We love Schnitz, don't we?
I want that voucher.
We love it.
I'm going to text in.
Are we getting some today? Maybe not.
Maybe not.
Maybe not this week.
Hopefully next time.
Bit of a rush. But the $50 Schnitty voucher, that's up for grabs. And the TaylorMade gift pack. If you're a golfer, if you're a golf fan, get amongst this. The TaylorMade gift pack. You get a dozen TP5 golf balls and a Tour Radar hat.
Oh,
TP5, the TaylorMade TP5. It's the golf
best
ball that beats the number one golf ball.
It beats the number one golf ball.
Which
it
should be.
It was number 2, now it's number 1.
Number 1. Okay, there you go.
Anyway, after the break, after the news, we'll be round 12 previewing. So see you on the other side.
Oh, what about the smile on your face, Kempy?
I cannot believe it. I can't believe it. How good.
On top of the night in the penthouse, now you've got Rabs calling the 4-try special.
Mate, it's made me weak. You know what's really weird about this, Smithy? This is might get a little bit dark here, but
hang on.
Every time something real good happens to me, I'm always like, something bad's going to happen. Every time something's like going too good, I'm like, hey, don't get too keen.
Okay.
Because life's going to come and humble you. So just stay on the ground.
That's right.
Stay on the ground, Beak.
Don't get carried away.
Don't get carried away. Exactly.
Look, just a nice moment. Enjoy it.
Exactly. I might have been in the penthouse at the casino carrying on last night. Maybe I was at the high roller table throwing some cash around. No,
Okay.
I wasn't really. I don't actually punt that much.
No,
but
you won't do.
Anyway, we've got Melbourne Storm versus Manly. We've already done that.
Yes.
Next game, Penny Panthers versus NQ Keyboards. I was going to say keyboards. Cowboys.
The Cows.
The Cows. I mean, let's just speak quickly about the Cowboys.
Mm-hmm.
How incredible has their turnaround been, especially considering it's what I love about the Cowboys' turnaround is it's like Payton came in and he made some really tough decisions.
Yep.
From recruiting Townsend, most people were like, "Oh, what's Townsend going to bring?" Which is crazy in my opinion.
Yep.
Then the Taumalolo changing the way he plays and changing the whole game plan to suit a new style of footy. Mm-hmm. What I love about it is it didn't work the first year, but he's stuck to his guns and he's paying dividends now.
Yep.
Where do you think the Cowboys are at? Are they finally turned things around?
Well, I think so. And if you look at their performances, they just look like a team that understand the game plan. They know exactly what's required of them or from them from the coach or the coaches, I should say. And they're going out there and executing it beautifully. I think we've seen a huge change, and this isn't a knock on the hammer so Tabuai Fido, but having Scott Drinkwater at the back, I think has really inspired those guys like Val Holmes and the play. Well, particularly Tom Dearden and Chad Townsend. He's really helped take a lot of pressure off those guys where he's just an out and out footballer, and he's playing exceptional footy at the moment.
Yeah.
Scott Drinkwater. So they look energetic. They're a young, energetic, enthusiastic footy side. And with the way the game's played these days, and some of the rules that have been introduced, if you can get a group of young players playing with that energy, playing with that exuberance and enthusiasm, but also can add consistency to their football, then you've got a very, very good football side that are hard to beat.
Yeah.
And that's what the Cowboys are at the moment. Although this is the test.
Oh.
A lot of people were saying last week was the test, but congratulations to them. They played extremely well against the Melbourne Storm side that a lot of people still believed could win that game.
Yeah.
Okay, because even with Hughes and Pappenhausen out, Nelson Asofa Solomona was out, Remus Smith was not there. Even without those guys, Melbourne still had a very good football side that went onto that football park. Okay, and would beat many other teams in the competition on that day. But the Cowboys, they played great. They they put so much pressure on Melbourne. They kept asking questions all night. But the big test is this week.
Yeah.
When they take on a Penrith side at home, unchanged from last week, have been in great form, have been the most consistent side all year, the best footy side in the competition right now. This is the test. Unfortunately, Kempy, they will be taking them on without Taumalolo and Kyle Felt.
Yeah.
It would have been nice if those two players were there, so they had two full strength sides up against each other. But I think they'll go down there and they'll compete really well. That's the one thing that they will do.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think one thing in the Cowboys' advantage is that we often talk about the Penrith Panthers forward pack, how explosive and fast they are. And I think the good thing about the Cowboys pack is outside of McLean, who is a veteran, and you need a veteran in your forward pack, this is a young, energetic, explosive forward pack, the Cowboys. So they actually do have the troops to combat that really fast kind of footy that the Penrith Panthers play. I also think that Townsend, yes, obviously Cleary is incredible, but Townsend, I think if he kicks really early, early on in the game, fourth tackle, even third tackle, and just takes the rhythm out of Penrith's game. Because that's what Penrith do. They get in these rhythms and they just squeeze you straight out of the game.
You're exactly right. And if you look back only, 3 weeks ago, I think, when Parramatta took on Penrith, They took a game there that really unsettled Penrith. It was through their physicality early. So they started the game. It was I remember Brad Arthur's comments before that game started. This was at the ground when they were doing some interviews with the coaches. He spoke about, in the preparation to that game, his message to the players were, don't wait for the game to come to you. Take yourself to the game, which means don't go out there and wait to see how Penrith are going to play.
Yeah.
It's you go out there and attack the game and attack the opposition, and that's what they did. They went out there. I remember Regan Campbell-Gillard. He was just a man possessed. He was out there just trying to hit all of the Penrith forwards as hard as he could. Same with Junior Polo. He was the same. They attacked Penrith with their defence, and then when they had the ball, they were quite unorthodox with the way they played. They had some early kicking. They turned the Penrith side around early. They changed angles with their runners.
A lot of offloads.
A lot of offloads. That's right. There was a lot of offloads that night. So Penrith, as you mentioned, Penrith are a side, if they get in a rhythm and you throw everything at them that they've planned for you to throw at them, they will take care of you with ease.
Yes.
It'll be almost like a training run for them. But if you throw something a little bit different at them that they haven't seen or they're not quite used to, then that's when they can get themselves in a little bit of trouble.
It's interesting about the rhythm comment as well, because after the game, I'm pretty sure it was Cleary was asked by maybe Joey or someone on the panel, basically like, oh, you were in a bit of a grind there for about 20 minutes. And Cleary's response was, no, we like the grind because it gives a better feel for the game.
Yeah.
And I was like, that's really interesting comment there because it's almost saying, no, we want the ball in play. We don't want it out. And we want to get into back and forth. We enjoy it.
Well, and the other reason for that and why they'd enjoy that is because they'd back their fitness. They're a fit football side. You look at the players right across the park, like have a look at, just a couple of examples. Dylan Edwards, he runs, what's his average running meters this year? It's like 250 or 260 meters. Like he's played some games where he's run over 300 meters.
Yeah.
And he's involved in it. So he will catch the ball, right? So the opposition will kick down. He'll catch the ball, run it back. Then he'll have another carry in that set, like play 3 or 4. Just a hit up.
Yeah.
He's a fullback. But he's thirsty for work. He loves being involved. He's a high involvement style of player. James Fisher-Harris, every time I see him live, like close up, when I'm calling some of the Penrith games, he looks rock hard fit.
Oh, mate.
But you look at but that's Penrith across the park.
Yeah.
I don't think they're carrying anyone in their personnel right now who is out of touch or just like a little bit sloppy or whatever. They all look really fit. So there's no surprise when their coach comes out and says, look, we love that grinding style of football.
Yeah.
We want to drag teams into an arm wrestle.
Yeah.
And we will back ourselves to outlast them.
Yeah, and that's what look at the Rabbitohs Penrith Grand Final. It was truly just outlasting.
That's right.
Like Rabbitohs just kept coming at their line.
Yep.
And Panthers I don't know how they did it. They just kept line speed up all day, and then eventually that one mistake happens.
Yes.
Boom, Crichton catches that ball, try time.
Yep.
So look, in saying all of that to the Cowboys' favour, Penrith Panthers. Right across the board, what I find really interesting, and it's also when the Storm were really dominant, is like you go 1-17. I honestly wouldn't change nearly any player. That's how good they are at the moment.
Yeah, that's right. And you really wouldn't. And although like individually, there's probably standouts from other clubs, but do they complement each other like the Penrith Panthers do right now? I'm talking about player by player, as you mentioned. You wouldn't swap anyone out for anyone else. Which describes, the style of footy that they're playing and the confidence that they play with each other.
Yeah.
There's just when you try and find a weakness in the Penrith footy side right now, it's a hard job.
Yeah.
You'd be spending a lot of time watching video on them to try and find a weakness on them. If anything, and I mentioned it earlier, it's having to play quite an unorthodox style of footy.
Yeah.
Which
really
is going to upset their defensive systems and their defensive structure. And it tries. What you got to try and do is try and build a little bit of doubt in their mind. That's what you got to try and do.
Absolutely. I also want to give a quick shout out to guy Scott Sorensen. If I am on the lookout for a forward that is not going to break the bank, but he's going to come to the club and give impact, he has been outstanding the last few weeks. Matter of fact, him coming off the bench, I think that they basically haven't lost a game with him coming off the bench.
No. Well, they haven't lost too many.
Yeah. But I mean, his impact, they haven't lost many at all.
Yeah, no, they've lost like 3 games in the last 3 years or something.
Incredible.
No, it might be a couple more than that. It might be 4 or 5 games in the last 3 years, but that's just ridiculous. And look, I agree. He's a fantastic player. He's actually even he started a couple of games, I think, this year.
And they lost those games.
Yeah, okay,
that's what I'm saying.
No, all right, okay, sorry, Scotty. You stay on the bench, mate. But that shows how important the interchange bench is now in the modern game. And we've spoken about this on the Captain before, Kempy, that they're specialised positions. Sometimes you don't suit being a starting player that go out and you play in those first sort of 25-minute exchanges of a match.
Yeah.
You're best suited to coming off the bench when the sort of sting is taken out of the game a little bit, and then you can go and do your thing.
Mate, now the next game is the Broncos versus the Titans. I am so excited for this game. 2 really young sides.
Yes.
Now, you would say, Broncos probably have a couple players that are more experienced in key positions when it comes to Reynolds isn't playing, actually, so no they don't.
Ruled out again.
I can't wait for this clash because what's really interesting about this clash is, although no one expected, Broncos are probably sitting where some people thought the Titans were going to sit. And the Titans are currently sitting where a lot of people thought the Broncos would sit at the start of this year.
Yeah.
And they're both really young. And so if you're the Titans, you're sitting there going, hang on a sec, you've got everything that you've developed into the side we were supposed to develop in, and almost take that personally.
I would be. Yep. And you're exactly right. I had the Titans, and I've said this a couple of times. I had the Titans up. Well, Broncos are now 5th. I had them up sort of in that sort of 5th, 6th position, Titans this year, just off the back of what they were able to achieve last year. But no Adam Reynolds again. Ezra Mam, he stays in the footy side alongside with Tyson Gamble in the halves. I thought he did quite a good job in his debut game last week, which I think he'll be more. It'll give him a lot more confidence coming into this one.
Yeah.
Sort of, I think it was a late-ish scratching last week for Adam Reynolds.
I think it was day off.
Adam Reynolds and Ezra sort of playing away from home. It was quite a decent crowd at Newcastle last week, so it was quite hostile for him to go down there. Although they got a strong win in the end, it was only 14-12 with not long to go on the clock. So they ran away with it in the end. This is a much more difficult assignment for the Broncos.
Yes.
As good as they're going, they've won. Have they won their last 6?
They're going for 6 this
Going
week.
for 6.
Yeah.
First time since a long time.
Crazy.
2014 maybe. Might even be longer. I don't know.
Yeah.
But they're trying to string together 6 in a row. We've just spoken about the Titans earlier, how they were in the thick of it with the Sharks. Now they only just got beaten by the Sharkies. I'd like to think that they could go out and compete really well against the Broncos.
Oh, surely.
I'd like to think so. They've got a couple of changes though. Brian Kelly, he comes in, replaces Philip Sami. Unfortunately, he's out with a knee injury and he just got back in. Jermaine Jaleef, he comes in for Herman Sa, who moves to the reserves. David Fifita's been included on the extended squad. Maybe a chance to return. We're not sure yet. But look, I just think this is a big one for him. A huge one. And as you mentioned, like I'd be looking at this going, here's a great opportunity to knock off a team that's flying at the moment. And a lot of people are talking about their performances and the form they're in and, some of the players and whatnot. This is going to be a really good game of footy, and usually one that is quite a good game of footy.
Yeah.
It's the derby.
Yeah.
It's the M1 derby.
The M1 derby, mate. When I was there in my debut year when Darren Lockyer at Suncorp Stadium, I think he hit the post on a field goal and we won by a point.
Was it the game? Is that the game where he hit? Was it
Both.
the upright?
Both
was it
uprights
both
or one?
uprights or an upright then a crossbar and went over?
Yeah.
Was that the one?
Yeah, that was the one. And what's funny is I think it was like my second game of NRL, and as he's getting the ball, I was behind him, being a good fullback because I was playing fullback at the time. And I'm like, here if you need, bro. But in my head, I was like, bro, please don't pass me the ball. Please don't pass me the ball. But I was there.
So you said it, but you whispered it, eh?
I was like, here if you need me. So on the video session, Wayne would be like, oh, he said here if you need me. So he's doing his job. So,
yes.
you just got to cover yourself as a rookie. Got to cover yourself.
I was there, Wayne. I told you.
I said,
I'm ready to go.
Give me the ball. I'll kick it over. Yep. What do you know about field goals, Lockie? Anyway, another little interesting tidbit about this game is the fact that there's a couple players playing for maybe an origin spot. So you've got Paddy Carrigan, Tino Fa'asuamaleaui.
Yes.
You've got, Jared Wallace. I understand that he's probably not been as close, but doesn't mean he's out of contention completely.
Scored a double last week, Joel.
You've got Fodawaker. You've got Flegler as well coming off the bench. You've even got Kobe Hetherington as a potential smoky. Yep. You've got Jensen. I think he's could be considered for Queensland. So it's like this is a lot more than just a regular season game. This is for A, the pride of the derby, B, maybe origin spots, especially a guy like Tino and Patrick, because Tino, I personally think that I would go with him in the front row, but who knows? Maybe 13 is the role he plays, and this could be a way for him to outplay Paddy Carrigan, who is playing incredibly at the moment.
Yep.
So I think there's a lot of interesting battles here to between the players. I think also Corey Jensen, I want to give a massive shout out. Signed, no one even really knew he'd signed. He was a kind of a fringy. He has been so good at that first 20 minutes for us to take the brunt of the game, get through his work, good leg drive, good post-contact meters, and he's taken a bit of pressure off Payne Haas.
Yep.
And I think that's really released the boys and Payne Haas where He doesn't have to do all the really, really tough carries.
The yardage stuff.
Yeah, he can get in there and ball play a little bit. So I love this game. I think it's going to be a cracker. It's going to be interesting. I think that the Broncos can't really afford to allow. Like last week, we were dominating, but every time coming out of trouble, we drop the ball or give a penalty away. We can't afford to do that with a team like the Titans because they'll punish us because they've got such good attacking weapons. We've also got the little narrative of Jermaine Asako coming out this week in the paper saying that he felt like he was basically brushed as soon as he signed with another club.
Wow.
Kevy Walters has come out and said that's really sad to hear. I'm upset that
He feels that way?
That he feels that way, and I never wanted him to feel that way. So, mate, there's so many narratives going on in this game.
Wow.
Cannot wait. But we're going to head to a break. After the break, we're going to continue previewing the round. Plus, I'm pretty sure we have one of the segments where we We
It'll be the young players climbing the ladder.
Bailey's ladder update. 60 years in the business. Bailey Ladders. So we'll see you on the other side. Welcome back to the Captain's Run with Cameron Smith. Make sure to text in or give us a call. 1300 01 1170 or text 0457 736 736 and we will answer your text and your footy questions. Plus, if you go to your Spotify or Apple app, you type in the Captain's Run, hit follow, and you'll get the whole show post, and you can stop, pause, listen whenever you want after the show is complete. So make sure to download also the SEN app as well because you can listen to us live. But let's get back to the Captain's Run with Cameron Smith. Time to break down which young players are climbing up the Bailey ladders. Workside trusted for over 60 years. Smithy, who we got this week?
Well, we got three great nominees, but I'm looking just to the left of me, Cammy. We've got a Bailey's ladder in the studio today.
Looks sturdy as anything.
I was thinking about climbing it myself. Would I get a vote myself here?
Oh, mate, I'd vote for you.
No,
Smithy, I'd vote for you.
It's young players. Young players. I'm not young and I'm not a player anymore, so I can't get on any of it. Number one, Cody Ramsey. He's still only 22. There's a lot of boys I'm noticing in this sort of age bracket, 21, 22, 23, playing really, really good footy. Just some exciting young footy, which is great. Well, particularly if you're a Dragons fan, this man. Cody Ramsey, 22, ran for over 200 metres, sorry. One try assist, 2 line breaks, and 1 line break assist. Was very good on the weekend.
Fantastic.
Cody Ramsey played a lot of footy on the wing.
Yeah.
Is fullback his preferred position?
Well, that's the interesting thing, and I was going to speak about it later when we talk about the Dragons.
Okay, let's do that.
Yeah,
we'll do that.
Sweet.
Okay. Ezra Marm, NRL debut. We spoke about this man. He's getting another game against the Titans this week, but 2 try assists, 115 metres. He ran for, had 1 line break and 1 line break assist. Have you seen Ezra like in real life? Like, have you seen him? Like,
not in real life.
I didn't realise, like, he's quite a small fellow. He's not overly tall, but he's like chunky.
Oh, really? Quite big?
Oh, he's like solid as.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
I thought he was quite just a small fella, but quite chunky.
He's solid and
Interesting.
lightning.
Yeah,
I'd
quick
love
as.
to see him. I'd love to see him in some open space this week.
For sure. He looked explosive when he got the ball.
Quick.
A few tiny little things, little rookie errors, putting your hand out to get the ball and that. But that's all just rookie stuff.
Yeah.
And I feel like the second half we really saw him warm into the game.
Yep.
And I think we're going to see more of that this week.
Yeah, I reckon. And as I said, like he'll be more comfortable now. He's had a run, a little bit faster, a few more things going on than what he's used to playing in the Intrust Super Cup in Queensland, where last year, playing at South Logan, he picked up their Player of the Year and the Intrust Super Cup Rookie of the Year.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Had an outstanding year. No wonder he's highly rated at the Broncos. Number 3, Lockie Miller. Now, Lockie Miller, right? I don't know if anyone's seen his game for the Sharks, but if you get an opportunity, just go and watch some of his highlights. This was his first NRL match.
Crazy.
Now he played rugby sevens. He's an Olympian.
Yeah.
Okay, so he represented the country in rugby sevens. Similar style sport. Okay, but made his debut at 27 years of age. I think he's 28 this year.
Yeah, wow.
Okay, but he ran for, get this, 295 metres.
Wow.
Scored a try. 1 line break, of course. 9 tackle breaks.
Wow.
Every time he ran the football, right, he beat the first, sometimes second defender. That 9 tackle breaks. I reckon he had 9 tackle breaks in his first run. I think that stat might be a little bit wrong.
He had 90 tackle breaks.
It's not quite accurate. But he He was good on his feet. He changed direction a lot. Just really caused a lot of issues for the Titans last week. He was fantastic. It was just great to see a guy at his age. I know he's played elite sport before, but to come over, like, to be fair, it's very different to playing rugby sevens.
Way different.
Automatically, the main difference, of course, is there's 13 players.
Yes.
Not 7.
Mate, it's I played a bit of sevens. It's a totally different game. It's honestly, you would think it's more about being explosive and fit and fast, and it is to a degree, but it's more just about repeat speed efforts.
Yes.
Sevens games, and that's why, the more talented players kind of lean towards Super Rugby because you're less reliant on fitness, and you can just kind of
That's right.
You don't have to. It's kind of like playing NFL. You don't have to really do as much fitness. In NFL, it's more like repeat speed, rest, repeat speed, rest. Whereas the sevens, you've got to be super, super fit. So his debut was absolutely incredible on the weekend. Nearly 300 metres on debut. Outstanding. That was thanks to Bailey Ladders bringing safety and efficiency to the worksite for over 60 years. After the news, we continue our Round 12 preview. Welcome back to the Captain's Run. Now, Smithy, one of my favourite rounds of the year is here. Indigenous Round.
Yes.
I absolutely love the celebration of our incredible culture this country has. Also, the jerseys, the boots. I want to direct you to go to NRL.com if you've got a second, and there is an article that says the meaning behind your team's jersey. And then what it does is it links to every single team, and each team explains the meaning behind their Indigenous jersey.
Good. Because all Indigenous art, it tells a story, doesn't it?
Yep, absolutely.
Well, actually, in my experiences of playing in Indigenous Round, which I was very fortunate to play in a fair few of those, we actually had an Indigenous elder or a representative of the community of Melbourne would come in and talk about the jersey and the artwork or the design of the jersey and what it meant.
Yep.
We actually, in the last couple of years of my career at Storm, we actually had a young lady in Melbourne, an up-and-coming artist, design our jersey, along with a few of our Indigenous boys.
Wow.
So I believe in some of those games, it was Will Chambers and Dane Nielsen who were heavily involved in the designing of the jerseys that we wore, but it was mainly painting a story of our town, and it usually have something that depicted the Yarra River, running through the middle of it, and how all the people congregated there in the city and come together, and how they were able to build the city and live together as a community, which was great. It was nice to wear something that represented the place that you were out there playing for.
It's a really, really good point to bring up, Smithy. So this weekend, when you see your team's jersey, that's a story. That's a story.
Yeah.
Like you're looking at a piece of art being created that's telling a story, and you can find out what that story is at NRL.com, and it's called The Meaning Behind Your Team's Indigenous Jersey. Just take a second out of your day, go and read it. It's super, super interesting. Now, onto the game, New Zealand Warriors. Also, shout out to the Māori culture as well in New Zealand. Yep. They are also obviously an Indigenous culture with a proud, proud history. When I went over to New Zealand, I can't explain to you how welcoming they were. It was such a beautiful experience to experience the Māori culture when I was in New Zealand. So we've got the Warriors versus the Newey Knights. Now, Harris Tavita returns at 5'8". Dejan Arce moves to the reserves. Vanil Blake out. He's maybe out. They've got some good news back saying that he may not be out for an extended period of time. It may be 2 to 6 weeks.
Okay.
But that's not locked in yet. So initial reports were he's out for a long time. We're talking 3 months or more.
Was that potentially Liz Frank?
Yes. But then they went and saw another specialist, and they're saying that may not be the case, and it may be 2 to 6 weeks. So fingers crossed. Right. Mid-season recruit Danamis Louis is included in the extended bench after joining the club this week. The Newey Knights, Inari Tuala comes in for Bradman Best, who dislocated his elbow. Oh, that was tough to watch. Poor fella.
Tough man.
While Jake Granville replaces Adam Clue. That's not true.
We got a typo. It's Jake Clifford.
Jake Clifford. I was like, did Granville sign with the Newey Knights on the weekend?
Yeah.
I'm like Ron
I
Burgundy.
don't think so. I don't think he would. The Cowboys are running equal second, and the Newey Knights are down the other end.
Yes.
I don't think he'd trade.
A bit tough trade. But I am like Ron Burgundy. If it is written there, I will read it. I will read it. Mate, what have you got for this game?
This is a difficult one. Warriors. You think back to the first part of the year, right? The first sort of month, especially. Maybe even 6 weeks. Like, they were going okay.
Going great.
Sitting in the top 8. They'd won, 3 of their first 5, I think it was? Or 3.
They even went on a bit of a run, like 3 or 4 games in a row.
And then, just after that, they'd won 3 matches in a row. And were looking pretty good, but they've lost their way. They've won 1 from their previous 6, Kempy. 1 of their previous 6. And it doesn't get any better reading for Newcastle Knights and their fans. I think they've won 1 out of their last 8, I think it is. So this is a difficult one. I'm probably leaning towards the Warriors, given they're playing at Redcliffe. Newcastle are travelling. They've had another change, like Bradman Best. He's been one of their more dangerous players this year. Out with a dislocated elbow, as we just said. Anari Tuala, I actually rate it. He's a very good. He's a very good footballer, Anari Tuala.
Is Milford the answer?
Jake Clifford, I'm not sure. I must admit, he looked short of a run. He looked a little bit underdone. Milford, it's his first game of footy in a long time. So he's far from his best, football-wise and like his physical condition. So he's going to need a bit of time to get back and to play his best footy. Interested to see how Jake Clifford goes. Now, he was put back into reserve grade just to give him an opportunity to find a bit of his early form that he had this year.
And he had that little break. He had some personal issues as well.
Personal issues to deal with. Yep, exactly. But he played last week in reserve grade. So he gets his opportunity to come back into the football side for Adam Clune, who was out. We've seen Jake Clifford. We've seen him play great football, both at the start of this year for Newcastle and when he was playing at the Cowboys.
He's leading Dally M after 3 rounds.
So that's exactly right. So, like, he's just a young man that at times lacks a bit of confidence in his own game, which he shouldn't do, because, as you said, like, if he's regarded, through Dally M votes, and that's a opinion based voting system. But if you're leading this competition after 3 weeks, you're doing some pretty good things. Like, if you're up against, you think about the quality players, not just in the position that he plays, but every other position in the competition. Like, there are some elite players up against week on week, and he was above the lot of them.
Yep.
So he just needs to get out there and just play well, play confidently. If things don't go well for him early, don't let that dictate the way the rest of the game goes for him.
Yeah.
He just needs to put whatever's happened aside and just get on with his next job. That would be my message for him. Would that be his inclusion be enough? I'm not sure. They're just, they just look a little bit rattled at the moment, Newcastle.
I don't know where they go from here, because they've recruited quite strong. Their forward pack is really good.
Yeah.
I know. Well,
like, you're talking about, look at their forward pack. You've got Clemmer. Chris Randall, he's still learning his trade a little bit. He's still a young man. But then you got Daniel Saifiti, Tyson Frizzell, Lachlan Fitzgibbon, great player, been around for a while. Mitch Barnett, great player, been around for quite some time. And then you got a guy like Jacob Saifiti on the bench as well. Like that's a group of players that can compete with most footy sides.
Yeah,
but
absolutely.
Unfortunately, it's not happening for them at the moment.
It's a really hard one to put my finger on. Now with the Warriors, Jazz Tavanga moves into 10. Ben Murdoch-Masilla moves into 8. I think that they're very lucky that Tohu Harris has come back. They're very lucky, because losing Lodge and Fanua Blake in the same week, Fanua Blake and Lodge are the heart of that team.
Yep.
If the only way Warriors got wins, recently, were on the back of a big game by Lodge or a big game by Fanua Blake. So my only concern for Warriors in this game is they're going to need Tavanga and Murdoch-Masilla to really, really step up here, because that's just it's a big hole to fill.
Would Jazz Tavanga be the smallest prop ever?
Surely it'd be,
and that's no disrespect to him, because he at the same time he's one of the toughest players.
He's a goer. In the comp. Yeah, absolutely.
He is one of the toughest players in the competition. I played against Jazz, many times, and he is a good footballer. He's just a tough man. Like he's just, for his stature, plays well above his size.
It's interesting
Well
that
above his size.
they moved him in instead of Tohu Harris. Would have you put Tohu Harris in there before, or do you think game fitness may be the issue for Harris?
Moving Tohu into the ruck?
Yeah, in the front row instead of Tawanga.
Yeah, maybe. But they're probably thinking like keeping his ball playing ability on an edge.
Yeah, okay. Yep.
They may get a little bit more out of him out there.
Yep.
Yeah, but this one, as I said, it's, well, you know, playing at Redcliffe is their home ground, has been now for a couple of years. I think I'll be tipping them just.
Yeah, it's going to be a great game, so make sure to tune in. Obviously, Indigenous Round 2, so even more special with Newcastle representing Australian Indigenous culture, but New Zealand representing a Māori Indigenous culture. We're going to head to a break, but after the break, we've got the best moments in sport, and that'll be thanks to Best Sheds. So after the break, we're going to discuss the best moments in sport this week. See you on the other side. Welcome back to the Captain's Run with Smithy. Time now to look at the best moments in sport this week, thanks to our friends at Best Sheds. Hit the sheds with Best Sheds, 10% off sale. Now, I'm going to go first, Smithy, with my moment of the week.
Okay.
It was both Dragons forward Michael Molo and Sharks fullback Lockie Miller scoring a try on debut. It's something they'll never forget. It was a great game also. I thought Michael Molo showed a lot of promise. His older brother is playing really well as well. Just a great moment in sport. You never forget your debut, let alone scoring a try on debut. It doesn't get much better than that.
It doesn't. No, just getting an opportunity to play first grade is a big moment, but scoring on debut's even better. Mine was sold out. Sold out crowd at Queensland Country Bank Stadium last week up there in Townsville, up in North Queensland, to watch their Cowboys win 6 in a row.
Wow.
And couldn't not have done it in any better style against the Melbourne Storm.
Is your boy JT the king of the North? Is he carrying on? Is he riding high? What's he doing up there?
Oh, mate, I don't know. Like he pretends he's working, but he's out. Like
he's on the golf course.
Mate, he's playing golf. He's like, I ring him up every now and again to say, mate, what are you up to? He goes, oh, mate, I'm over at Hamo. I'm down at Mission Beach. I'm like, what, mate? You're not working. What are you doing? Oh, yeah, I'm over at golf. I was like, mate, come on.
Yeah, mate, he's up there living the dream. He's a king of the North, so he's earned the key to the whole of North Queensland.
Well, he's got a statue.
Yes,
so he pretty much runs the joint. He acts like he does anyway.
Mate, it was, you know what? It's just so good to see North Queensland doing really well. And that great new stadium, what was really interesting is like it gets built, then they start struggling.
Yes.
And you're going, oh, man, like that. It's kind of like, not why do we build it? It's a great building. But you don't get to celebrate it as much.
I would have loved, right, I'm a little bit jealous of the current players because I would have loved an opportunity to play there. I missed out. It was it opened in 2020.
Yes.
Right?
Oh, but then.
Same with Combank Stadium.
Yes.
Parramatta's home ground. Both stadiums, I think they opened in the same year. But when the season was put on hold and then the draw was rescheduled, didn't get to play.
Oh, no.
Either stadiums.
It looks like a great stadium up there too.
Filthy.
Oh, wow.
Anyway.
Maybe come back, play one game or
no?
Okay, sweet.
No. Not happening.
No. That was thanks to Best Sheds, 100% owned and manufactured. Visit bestsheds.com.au. After the break, we'll wrap up the second hour of the show. Welcome back to the Captain's Run with Cameron Smith. We've got some texts here, Smithy. We've got some texts.
Yeah, what have we got, mate? Actually, I got a good one. Hey, boys. Kempy, did Lockie Miller break your record of run meters on debut?
Well, I mean, the Fox fan did put up on there, so they did a little thing on my debut recently, a couple of weeks ago.
Yeah.
And it did say the most meters from a debutant. So I'm not sure if my record was still... Let's say my record still did stand, which I don't think it did. I'm pretty sure Dylan Edwards might have run more on debut.
Yep.
But if it did still stand,
right,
Miller did break the record. He did break the record.
Geez, you were quiet on that when I mentioned him before.
Oh, come on now. I've been giving him raps all day.
I'm joking.
Look, let's be honest, though. I was 19 years old. But whatever. We won't talk about it.
Not 27.
We won't talk about that. No, it was a great debut. He was outstanding. His footwork, his explosiveness, and I mean the Sharkies, that depth they have now, putting real pressure on Kennedy, even though Kennedy's been outstanding. So, mate, incredible from Lockie Miller. What I love about Lockie Miller is his choice to back himself and say
every time.
Always been my dream to play in the NRL. And he's at 27 years old. He could have taken the easy route, keep playing for Australian Rugby Union. He said, no, it's my dream since I was a kid. I'm going to go on a minimum contract, and he went and did it. So incredible stuff. Now, I've got other text here. Do you think that teams who finish in the bottom four or do so in consecutive years should receive a small cap increase to lure players / receive funding to increase internal development quality? Should new franchises such as the Dolphins be given more cap space given the advantage of having to sign most players in a restricted environment? In brackets, if Wayne wasn't head coach, would players have gone otherwise?
That's a hard one. I know in the AFL, new franchises like Gold Coast Suns and the GWS Giants, they were given cap relief to be able to sign players to start their organisation up, their franchise up, and so they tried to become as strong as they could be as quickly as possible. Difficult. It's a difficult one because when you give say one or two clubs more money than the others, then we continue this merry-go-round of inflated salaries.
Yeah.
And it just makes it hard. Like, so let's just say we give them more than their allocated, at the moment it's about 9.6, 9.7 million. Let's just say we give them 10.5 million or 11 million and they go out and they want to buy, for argument's sake, let's just say a Nathan Cleary and say to Nathan, will give you $2 million.
Wow.
Well, that's just...
Yeah.
That's no one else will be able to pay that.
And
no other club with a $9.6 million salary cap could afford $2 million.
I totally agree. What I would say, though, and I think you might have alluded to it in the text, is I don't mind the idea of putting money into their development. They get extra money given to them for their juniors.
Yes.
And that way it doesn't increase the cap and all that kind of stuff. But it's helping rugby league, it's helping the systems, and it's also promoting to bring juniors through.
Yeah, I think there's no doubt we've seen with the likes of, say, Penrith, Melbourne Storm, putting work into young players.
Yeah.
And developing it rather than going out and purchasing ready-made NRL stars.
Yep.
Look at Penrith right now.
Incredible.
They put a lot of money into their junior system, and now they're bearing the fruits of the time and patience that they have shown those young people.
Absolutely. Now, we're going to head to the break. We've got the news on, but after the break, we're going to continue our Round 12 preview. Welcome back to the Captain's Run with the great Smithy. Brought to you by Bloke in a Bar Beer. Huge announcement, guys. Bloke in a Bar Beer is now in every single Celebrations, Bottle-O, Porter's Liquor, and IGA Plus Liquor in New South Wales and ACT. That's right. Every single Celebrations, Bottle-O, Porter's Liquor, or IGA Plus Liquor in New South Wales and ACT. Plus, it's in every single Celebrations superstore in Queensland. Head to our site, blokeinabar.com. We've also got a store locator where nationwide you put in your postcode. It'll show you the closest stockers. So grab a case of Bloke in a Bar. It's beautiful and it's easy drinking. Now, Smithy, mate, we've got a call on the line here. We've got Jace from North Parramatta. How you going, Jace?
Yeah, good, thanks, Kempy. Great to listen to the show. You guys are firing on all cylinders again. So great to see you too, Kem, the GOAT.
Thanks, Jace. Thank you, mate.
No, mate. I'm a full-on
What do you got for
Warriors
us today,
supporter.
bud?
Yeah, I'm a full-on Warriors and Kiwi supporter. But, mate, you are the greatest of all time, Cam. I'll spell that out. Mate, you're the greatest.
Good on you, mate. Thank you.
I'm just looking at, I loved your guys' discussion about the Warriors and, Toru Harris is back, which has been, such a plus. But with them losing AFB and Lodgy, who, I agree with you, Denon, they've been carrying the team pretty much the whole year. With them heading back to New Zealand, when that news came out, I saw that as a two-door scenario. Is it going to make them really knuckle down and get them in a great position so they're firing once they get home? But it's unfortunately they've picked the wrong door. So, I just want to know, for your guys' point of view, what do you think, they're missing? Because, I'd love it to be, they're going to get a pretty good crowd when they head back there, but and it's only in a couple of weeks.
Yeah, mate. First of all, incredible that they get to go back, and I honestly cannot wait to see them play back in New Zealand. Also, I'm not sure, when it comes to riots and, what the NRL can do, but I would love for them to have nearly all home games next year to be able to repay the New Zealand faithful. But just quickly in regards to what can they do, look, it's a really tough one. I think we could focus on the negative of they've lost Lodge and they've lost Fanua Blake. But positives is guys like Reece Walsh recently announcing that he wants to stay at the club and that, all of the rumours were not great, not true, and he's loyal to the club. And I think that if you're looking at glass half full, when you've got a young superstar that would have 1,000 different clubs after him saying openly, I want to stay, I'm going back to New Zealand, and I want to be a part of this club, I think that's something you can really, hold your hat on. It's something you can really build on because it's very hard to attract superstars to the Warriors. And Reece Walsh has gone there and committed to the Warriors and openly done it. So it's tough because it feels like, we're having the same conversation with the Warriors every couple of years. They recruit really well. Everything's going well and we're going to build and we have a good half a season. Then all of a sudden it all falls apart and we're back where we started. But I will say the positive is Nathan Brown took the Newcastle Knights from wooden spoon essentially into finals footy. And I think that he can also at least recruit really well for the Warriors, which is something they probably need to recruit a couple outside backs. I think that losing Hiku and Herbert was a really, really big loss they could use. But we have to remember, if their outside backs get a bit more experience, they may be, better for it.
Mm.
Yeah.
I think they're probably
as well. Yeah.
Yeah, with him, him moving on. I think they're probably just short of maybe a little bit of experience in some of the key positions. I think just a touch short. And I know Sean Johnson come back to the club this year and he's playing in that footy side, but his form's been a little bit up and down as well, carrying a few injuries here and there. He's getting a little bit older. They're probably just a little bit short in experience and maybe the 9 jersey as well. Just trying to find, if they could find someone who's established and a very, really consistent footballer, exactly what they're going to get from them every week, I think that may improve them a little bit. But if you look across their season, and as we spoke about, they started the year quite well. They went on that 3-game wins. So they had 3 from their first 5. 2 of those, if you remember, 2 of those games that they won, they beat the Broncos and beat the Cowboys. So the Broncos now sitting 5th, the Cowboys now sitting 3rd in the competition. Then they had a close loss to the Roosters, got absolutely annihilated in that Anzac game against the Broncos. Then they beat Raiders, and some of the losses they've had, particularly the last 2 weeks, they got beat by 2 points against the Rabbits in Magic Round, and then they went down by 1 try against the Dragons last week. So in a handful of their losses this year, they haven't been far off. So that's what I'm saying as far as maybe gaining some sort of experienced player. And I know they're really hard to come by at the moment, but gaining some an experienced or an established player in those key positions that may just make the difference in those tight contests.
Yeah, absolutely. No, great boys. Thank you very much for that.
Good on you, Jace. Thanks,
great
mate.
Show. And stay in the penthouse there, Campy. Yeah, no dropping down.
Don't go back. Don't go back there, you reckon?
Yeah, no way, mate. No way. Stay in the penthouse.
Mate, you know what? I'm not going down again. I'm going to have to speak to SEN and say, guys, it's going to be the penthouse every week now. Penthouse every week?
Penthouse or no house. I was going to say another house, but...
Thanks, Jace. Appreciate it, mate.
Cheers, boys.
Get on you, mate.
There is absolute... thanks for that call, mate. And some great questions about the New Zealand Warriors because rugby league is better when the Warriors are going good. I mean, remember the years, 2011, they made the finals. Yep. SJ was firing.
Yep.
So, look, they've got the cattle to do it. Hopefully they can pull it together. But
they're going back in round 16.
Round 16.
Yep.
Mark that in the calendar.
Yep.
Cannot wait to watch that.
Yep.
But let's go to Bunnies v. the Tigers. Really interesting game. At the start of the year, if you had said Bunnies v. Tigers, you would have said the Bunnies are going to get the win.
Yep.
But I think now we're almost looking at 50-50 right now. The Tigers look much better. Bunnies, they're really struggling to put games together and find consistency. Their completion rate, they are actually 17 more errors than the next team, and they're the worst completion rate in the competition.
Yeah.
So the second worst completion rate, they have 17 more errors than them. I'm pretty sure if I recall correctly.
And they play that sort of expansive style of football. They like using the football, which is what makes them so dangerous, Kempy, when the passes stick. And we've seen that in the past, and they talk about that lethal left edge and whatnot. It's changed a little bit now with some personnel moving on, and being injured in Latrell Mitchell, especially. But they play that style of footy where at times it can be high risk but high reward. And last year, it was a great example. They were scoring like that in the back. A period of that year, they were scoring like an average of 36 points or something every game they played. But when it doesn't go right for them, it becomes a struggle.
Yeah.
So the completion rate is low. They don't have a lot of possession of the footy. They find themselves having to tackle for most of the game. So yeah, they're at it's a very different footy side this year compared to last year, not so long ago. And I don't know what's happened at that club or with that team. Like when I look at some of their more dominant players and more experienced players, and particularly a guy like Cody Walker, at stages, he just doesn't look like he's interested. And like I'm not trying to be overcritical here, but it's just it's just his body language. I'm not saying he doesn't want to be there, but just his body language where in the past he'd be zipping around, he'd be here, he'd be there, like he wanted to be on the football, no, come this way. Sometimes like he has an effort, but then just walks for a few meters, allows the play to get away from him. I'm not sure. I'm not sure what's going on. But when you have a guy like Cody Walker, who's such a great footballer, one of the best players in the competition, you need him to be excited and involved the entire game.
Yeah, look, it's an interesting point because, it's very easy to go, every player should be able to play in every environment and that's the way it is. But at the end of the day, players are human beings and sometimes when the environment doesn't suit them or certain things aren't going their way, it is hard to get energetic. It is hard to get up for games. So I wonder whether it's just a struggle under the new environment. Maybe it's just taking the time to adapt because I agree, Cody doesn't look as zippy as he was last year. But honestly, I would say that for nearly every player in the side.
Yeah. Every player in the Rabbit side?
Yeah, I would say nearly every player, outside Cook's been pretty good last couple of games, but nearly every player isn't playing as good as last year.
No. No, and that would be a fair bit to do with that completion rate that you were talking about, like being the worst completing team in the competition. It takes energy away from you.
Yeah,
having to do more tackles. But I look at Cody and just even when they have the football, it just looks as though like he just doesn't have that same zip as what he did last year when he was a lot of people were saying he was the best player in the competition.
Incredible. I wonder, maybe carrying an injury. I'm
possibly.
Not sure.
That's what I'm saying. I'm not trying to be overcritical here,
sure.
but just what I'm seeing. He may be carrying an injury. It might be something else. I don't know, but he just doesn't look like the same Cody Walker as he was last year. Yeah,
for sure. Now onto the Tigers though. Now it's interesting because their last 4 games have actually lost 3 of them, but I wouldn't say that that's a reflection of how far they've come as a team. No, I think they're such a different team now.
Yeah. No, a completely different footy side to what we were talking about in the early stages of this career. At least they're out there competing. That was the thing for me. I made a few comments about the way they were playing in that early part of the year, and it was just the non-competing factor of it. Nothing to do with game plans, nothing to do with any of their structures or the style of footy they were playing. It was just about getting out and competing and making sure that they were putting effort in. At times in those early rounds, there was just a lack of effort. Really wasn't helping the results. But at least, they're out there now having a go.
Absolutely. I mean, yeah, you can even in their losses, they look better than some of their wins that they got last year. It really does look like that. And Hastings has been crazy.
Yeah, I was just about to say, Campy, like Jackson Hastings, he's made a huge difference there. He's just made other people around. He's brought that attitude to go out and just play every moment.
Yeah,
I think, and everyone's just jumped on board.
Yeah, it's incredible how one player can change the whole dynamic of a club.
Yeah, and you need those type of people. Like everyone has different strengths that they bring to a team. You got to remember, like it's a team sport. Like teams don't win off the back of an individual or a couple of individuals. It's about everyone bringing their strengths to the makeup of that footy side. And Jackson Hastings, like he's got great skill and great ability and whatnot. But I think his biggest attribute that he brings to the West Tigers is his competitive nature and just wanting to be there and make a difference.
Absolutely. Now, we got the Sharkies versus Roosters. Really interesting game, this one.
It is.
Really interesting game because don't let the score fool you. Last week, the Roosters were in that game. Now, I'm sure they aren't happy with the result.
No.
But they were absolutely in that game for a lot of it. It took, basically, when they went into half-time, what was really interesting is that they had 3 more errors than the Penrith Panthers, and the Panthers had 3 more tries than the Roosters. And basically
turn
one
the
to
ball
one.
over. Yeah.
Yep,
Turn
one
the
to
ball
one.
over, give them the opportunity, they took
They
points.
take it. Whereas, like, those 3 errors don't happen, you're essentially going in halftime at an equal,
Possibly.
footing.
Yep.
And so I just think that the Roosters aren't as far away as we may think. Don't get me wrong; they're not near where they should be. But I think this is going to be a massive clash.
For a lot of the questions about the Roosters this year and the way they're playing, they're still in the top 8.
Yep. And they were top 4 last week.
They're sitting 7th. Out of the 11 matches they played, 6 wins, 5 losses. So they're almost sort of 50-50 with a loss this week. They're going to be 6-6. But I'm happy to back them this week.
Back them in.
I'm happy to back them.
Okay.
I know the Sharks had a win last week, but as I mentioned before when we were previewing Titans, Sharkies weren't
First half especially.
overly convincing.
Yeah.
They stacked on a few tries in the middle parts of that second half, but they weren't overly convincing.
I do think the Will Kennedy return, what I did notice in that first half from the Sharkies is the Titans' goal line defence was fantastic, but there were a few times where you could see Nico expecting a fullback to run a certain line or whatever, and with Lockie Miller being a rookie,
First game,
and it's also, he's a very different player to Will Kennedy.
Yes.
And I think that in their attack, they were just trying to get used to a different fullback, and that combination needs time to build. So I think Kennedy returning is actually a huge in for the Sharkies.
Yes.
And it may make their attack a little less clunky.
Yep. What are you thinking here, though? Do you think that'll be enough to get Cronulla across the line? He's a big in, Will Kennedy. He's playing good footy.
Massive in. Look, I'm going to say, I think, it's a tough one, Smithy. It's a tough one. I want to give a shout out to Terrell May. He keeps his spot on the bench. He made his debut last week, and it kind of flew under the radar.
Yep.
But this kid can play. Big body, mobile, got a bit of footwork at the line, a bit of an offload. He's actually the brother of May from the Panthers, I'm pretty sure.
Talon May?
Talon May from the Panthers.
Right.
If not brothers, they're related.
Rellos.
And so he was actually really good last week. He brought a lot of energy and zip. And I actually think that he's going to be a great inclusion to this Roosters pack because they do sometimes seem to lack that zippy forward with a bit of pace in the middle. You've got those old heads like Hargreaves that are tough and they get through the hard work. But sometimes, like for example, I feel like Victor Radley, because he's such a ball player and he does it so often, sometimes I feel like he doesn't fall on his running game enough.
Okay.
And so I think that bringing on a really explosive forward, for example, the Panthers bring on Jensen and Sorensen, and it kind of like breaks the game apart. And I think Terrell May really bring that to the Roosters and just kind of up the energy when he comes on.
Yep.
So, look, I think it's going to be a great clash. I am going to go...
Oh, who's he going to go?
Roosters. Yeah, Roosters. Yeah, Roosters to get the win. Roosters to get the win.
They're playing at the Sharkies' home ground where they have been, quite hard to beat there, to knock off. Look, I'm going to go the Roosters with you.
Yeah, I don't know. I just feel something.
Yeah,
I'm
same.
feeling something. But anyway, we're going to head to the break. After the break, we will share our holy schnitz moments from the week.
Holy Schnitz. Time now for the sporting highlight of the week. Thanks to Schnitz, home of fresh, golden, handcrafted schnitzels.
Welcome back to the Captain's Run. Ooh, whenever I hear that Schnitties, I'm getting hungry, Smithy. I'm getting hungry. But we've got the holy Schnitz sporting moment, mate. What have you got for us first here?
I've got... Do you follow the EPL?
Only vaguely. Only peripheral.
Peripheral?
Yes.
Did you peripherally see the result on the weekend?
I saw the result, but not how it happened.
So last week of the EPL competition, Liverpool, Man City fighting it out for, who was going to be crowned champions of the EPL. 5 minutes to go. Okay, Man City, they were playing Aston Villa. 5 minutes to go in the match. They were down 2-0. What do you think happened?
That they won, they celebrated. Aston Villa enjoyed the rest of their week.
I think you got part of that right. I don't know what happened with Aston Villa, but mate, 5 minutes to go, they were down 2-0.
Yep.
2-0. They come back and score 3 goals.
No.
In 5 minutes.
5 minutes.
3 goals in 5 minutes to win the EPL. And
wow. To win the whole comp.
They took the whole thing. They won the whole thing, and you should have seen their fans.
Holy!
The stadium nearly collapsed.
Weren't they on top of the goalpost or something like that? And they collapsed
everywhere.
the goalpost.
They were everywhere.
Holy!
They stormed the field.
Wow.
They stormed the field at the end. There was people everywhere. It was chaos.
Yep.
And then obviously the team got back on the field. Were presented with the plate with the trophy for winning the EPL.
Mate,
Huge.
If you've got time on your hands, go to Amazon Prime Video.
Yeah.
Watch All or Nothing, Man City, and it's outstanding.
Really?
Yeah, great documentary series.
Yeah.
Great documentary series.
Great
So check it out. Wow.
What about you?
3 goals in 5 minutes. Wow. Now, my nomination is the Dragons' impromptu rugby union maul against the Warriors, which saved them from a goal line dropout.
That was good.
That was fantastic.
Have a few of those boys played rah-rah or something?
Mate, I don't know. He clicked into gear, and the boys just got behind Lomax, drove him out. I don't know how he got out.
It looked like both sides were in there.
Literally. Like, if he had somehow got a little quick offload, would have been
so
length
good.
of the field.
Length
of the field.
Trick play.
Mate, that was absolutely incredible. Like, the fact that I don't even know if it's legal. Like, is it legal to, if your attacking player is being driven back, can you jump in and drive him forward? I don't know.
What's legal, what's not legal in
Yeah,
the
it's
game
true.
anymore.
That's so true.
I don't want to harp on this, but goodness me.
Yeah, wow.
Obstructions. Let's not go down what's legal and what's not.
Mate, we'll be here for another 3 hours talking
Yes.
about that.
Okay.
But yeah, that was my nomination.
Well
I
done.
thought it was great on your feet thinking,
Yes.
and it really changed the flow of the game.
Yep.
It really did change the flow of the game, because otherwise they're kicking off their try line.
Yep.
And they're defending a set. Instead, they're attacking. Now, they were our holy Schnitz sporting moments. Thanks to Schnitz, got that winning taste right now. Schnitz and handcrafted schnitzels made fresh and made just for you. After the news, we'll continue our round 12 preview. Welcome back to the Captain's Run. We have some breaking news. David Fifita has confirmed that he will play this weekend with Fodawaka ruled out, I think, with an ankle injury.
Yeah, that's right. Justin Holbrook, he's just announced that Fifita will be back with Mo Fodawaka being ruled out through an ankle injury. 3 weeks he spent on the sideline, Fifita has. So,
does this change the result of the game, do you think?
well, you probably think that it helps the Titans. Fifita being fresh, he's had 3 weeks on the sideline. I'd like to think that he's fully fit, ready to go, and he'd like to be able to come back and impress. Big game. State of Origin just around the corner too. Bill Slater and the selectors, final look at all players available. And so does one final push by Fifita to get him in that side for game one.
Well, the interesting thing about Fifita and why you would risk bringing him in even though he's only played a game or two is he offers this X factor that truly no other forward can offer.
Yeah.
Like, he, anywhere on the field, if he gets it right, can make the game completely turn on its head.
Yes.
Because he's the strongest ball runner essentially in the comp at the moment when it comes to tackle breaks.
Yeah.
And so what's really interesting with the Fifita situation is that, do you risk, let's say you risk him coming in underdone, but he could potentially break the game open, or do you bring in a guy that's played all season and is fit, ready to go, and he may not have the upside of Fifita, but he also may not have, the downside of Fifita that, he's underdone, doesn't get through as much work. It's an interesting conundrum.
Very, very interesting. I'm glad I'm not involved in that selection process, because it's tough. There's some wonderful players out there right now for both footy sides.
Yeah.
So, and we spoke about, the challenge is not just going out and picking great individuals. It's about picking players that will complement each other and help sort of execute the game plan that you want to build, and that you feel those players will be able to play at their best.
Yeah.
So does Fifita fit into that puzzle? That's for Bill and the selectors to talk about. But certainly having an opportunity to go out and play, or at least this game this weekend before selection happens Monday, it's not going to hurt his chances at all.
Absolutely. And look, if I'm the young Broncos, we have to remember, Fifita is their mate, obviously, but competitively, this is a guy that went and got the big contract. So personally, you want to put it over him. You want to be like, like he got the big contract, but I'm here and we're going really well.
Is that how you'd feel as a Bronco if you're still there?
Look,
and you went down the highway?
I would feel basically like, absolutely, we're still friends. Like, we're mates, we shake hands after the game. But when the game started,
80 minutes.
When the 80 minutes starts, I would be saying, boys, we stuck together and we're building something special here. Let's show him what he may be missing out on. That's what I would be personally. If in a respectful way, not in a a hate or whatever way. We're here to win NRL games.
Yes.
And on the flip side, on Fifita's side, I would be saying, hang on, boys, you might be going really well, but I've played Origin. I'm one of the best forwards in the competition. I want to show you guys that I made the right choice, and I'm loving it here.
And we're going to get a big scalp.
Big scalp. I want to show me coming back into the Titans improves us dramatically. So anyway, great. Another narrative added to that game. Now let's get to the the Canterbury Bankstown Bulldogs versus St. George Illawarra Dragons, Sunday 2 p.m. Addo Carr returns. Ockenbaugh now moves out. Corey Waddell returns from a head knock, moving Stimson to reserves. McCulloch returns, which is a huge in for the Dragons.
Okay.
Sending Sullivan to the reserves. Cody Ramsey remains fullback. Now, I want to ask you, Smithy. Sloan, we all seen his talent. We know how slick he can be. He gets dropped initially. The Dragons don't improve. He gets dropped for about 4 to 5 weeks. They bring him back in. Now, granted, he didn't have his best game, made a couple of errors, but he still ran for 180 metres, had a fair few tackle breaks. I think he had a line break as well. Gets dropped again by Anthony Griffin. Cody Ramsey comes up, plays fantastic. Now, a lot of people think that Ramsey's a winger, but he comes back up and plays really well in fullback.
Yep.
Now the Dragons are in a really tough position where you've got a guy like Sloan where there's whispers and reports, and just reports, there's no confirmation coming out that, he's, seems like he's not happy there or doesn't have a future under Hook. That's the reports coming out.
Yep.
What do you do in a situation where you've got one guy who you thought was going to be the long-term fullback, another guy who is beginning to play good at fullback? You've got to juggle keeping both players.
Yeah.
What's your thoughts on the situation?
Well, that's the challenge too, isn't it? About being able to retain players when you see a talented young man like a Sloan, and you think, well, down the track he can be very good for us, but at the moment he's just struggling to find that week in, week out high standard of performances. And for a team like the Dragons, I think that's just what they're searching for. And Anthony Griffin as coach, I think he's searching for someone that is reliable week in, week out, not turning up and having a 5-star game one week and then just go missing the next.
Yeah,
I think he's looking. They're looking for someone that's going to produce, high standards every week.
Well, he recruited in that vein.
Yes, that's right.
Hook recruited guys that they may not be
the flashiest
or whatever, but they're 8 out of 10 every single week.
Yes, that's right. Yeah, and really, for teams trying to, move their way up the ladder and become, sides like Penrith and Melbourne, they're looking to minimise the gap between their best performance and their worst performance. That's all they're trying to do.
Yeah,
that's all they're trying to do is to try and build some sort of consistency. And you hear it from coaches nearly every week. Brad Arthur's mentioned it. Des Hasler's mentioned it. Kevin Walters mentioned it. Early in the season when they went, a couple of wins, couple of losses, a win, a loss. They're just searching for that consistent performance. And, I think that's why we've seen so many ins and outs, chops and changes at the Dragons across the first 11 weeks of the season, is that they're just trying to find players in particularly in some key positions where they can rely on them every week to be able to, their best and worst is a very, very small difference.
Yeah, and it sounds, or every coach, says that and rah. It sounds like a cliche or whatever.
Yeah.
But another reason why you want consistency, it's not only for the results, but it's easier to build a game plan around consistency. Whereas if you've got a player playing a certain way one week and then a certain way the next week, it's like, are we a fast, up-in-your-face footy team? Are we a grindy footy team?
Yes.
Are we an offload footy team? It's very hard to work that out.
Well, most jobs, in in all industries, every employee has a role to play, and they need results out of the role that they give to that certain industry or that certain company, whatever it is, whatever job they're in. So if they're underperforming, the boss is going to look at their position. That's, you know what I mean? If people out there talking about, thinking about footy and are fans of footy, if you relate it back to your job, if you're underperforming in your job, then your position is going to be under threat at some stage.
Yep, absolutely.
It just happens in rugby league. It happens, more often, more quickly, because you've got less time. You've got 20 weeks.
Yeah,
you've got 20 weeks to do the best you can to be involved in the finals at the end of the year, which there's only 8 spots out of the 16. So you need to be in that top 8 to be able to go after the thing that everyone's chasing, and that's the premiership.
Absolutely. Now, look, the Doggies. How do they turn this around?
Look, it's not a great place to be at the moment. It really isn't. A lot of changes again. Josh Adokar back in. He missed last week with the flu, I think it was.
Yep.
Which is it's really gone around the competition. It's troubled a lot of teams. Although,
Do you think that's because they've been in the bubble?
You look at, well, probably they've been sheltered from the public for a long time.
Because it is ravaged the NRL, the normal flu.
You look at the Raiders. They were hammered. Was it last week? They were hammered with. They have 7. It was like 6 or 7 players out.
Munster had it earlier in the week last week as well.
Still got up and were able to beat the Rabbitohs. But yeah, no, it's
I honestly reckon it's because
Probably.
they haven't built immunities up because they've been so isolated.
It's like we're not talking footy here and we're not doctors, but I don't know. We've gone down a little bit of a slippery path here, everyone. But we're talking about the flu. It's sort of taken over the country at the moment, hasn't it? Like there's a bit of a widespread of the flu and whatnot, but it's probably because we've all been sitting in our homes.
Yeah,
most of the country locked up. We haven't been out and mingling and connecting and doing whatever,
building up bacteria.
But look, I think the Dragons will be too strong here. It's really hard to just. I don't want to hammer the Bulldogs, but they're just in a really difficult situation where they're just not playing great. There's no confidence there at the moment. It seems like there's a lack of cohesion at times as well.
Do you begin building for next year? Do you go?
Oh, I think they have to. But before they can do that, like who's coaching?
Yeah,
I think you need a coach. You need a coach there, or you need to know who's going to be coaching that football side in 2023 before you even start planning for.
Yeah.
Well, they've got a couple of good players they know that are coming across.
Yeah.
To their footy side in Kikau and Reid Marnie. They know that they will be there and they will be great assets to that football club. But until you have a coach, like it's really hard to sort of start planning because they have their own ideas of what style of footy they need to play and what players will be able to play that style of football.
Yeah. Yep.
Difficult one. I think the Dragons get home in this one anyway.
Look, now we've got the Raiders versus the Eels, a really interesting game because the Raiders have an opportunity here to truly turn their season around because the next few weeks they play every other team that's on the same points as them around the 8, they play them. So they play the Rabbitohs, and I think they also play the Roosters. Anyway, whoever is sitting on the same points as them, they play them in the next couple of weeks.
Yep.
Do you think the Raiders can get it done against the Eels, though?
Look, I if they play like they have in the last 2 weeks, Kempy, I give them every chance.
Yeah.
They and I picked them last week when they were big outsiders against the Rabbits, only because of the way they turned up and played that style of footy that they played against the Sharks in Magic Round, which was that grindy, physical, aggressive footy that we know that when they were playing really good, when they were in the top, sort of cemented themselves in the top 4 there for a couple of years, that's the way they played.
Yeah,
that's the way they played their footy. So they've just they played really tough, gritty footy over the last 2 weeks, and it's upset the opposition. Yeah. Oh, they went bang, bang, bang on the weekend. What were they? They were like 20-0 after.
Oh, mate, game was essentially over.
Essentially, they hit them hard early, and they were relentless. Played that one. Was it out of Dubbo?
Is that Dubbo? Yep.
Out of Dubbo.
Fogarty returns this week too.
Fogarty's back.
He's back.
First game of the season. Which will be great. He was a big buy for them in the off season. But look, they're outsiders again. I think they could really, really do something special here.
Especially with the Eels, you just don't know what you're getting each week.
No, that's right. They've showed us this year that you just don't know. They can be up. You got to remember they just snuck past Manly at home last week.
Yeah,
they were down by 4 points with 90 seconds to go, and they just snuck home. Took a huge kick in a big moment from Mitch Moses.
Yeah,
to get them that win.
I will say that kick for Mitch Moses is so important because it's just building towards the business end of the season. When the big moments come, hopefully, he has the confidence saying, I've been in big moments where the game is on the line, kick a goal from the sideline, and I'm hoping for Mitchell Moses that the big games come at the end of the season.
Yes.
And he just kills it. He kills it. Because I would love to see the Eels make a run. I just, the longest drought, all that kind of stuff, would love to see him make a run. But we're going to head to a break. But after the break, more of your texts and calls. So make sure to call in and text in, and we'll see you on the other side. Welcome back to the Captain's Run. Make sure, go to your Apple, go to Spotify, and follow the Captain's Run on Apple and Spotify. You can listen to the entire episode at your own leisure. But we've got some text here, Smithy.
What have we got, mate? What have we got?
This is from Marty. Morning Legends, GOAT with Adam Dewey, close to Tigers' return. Would you play him as a ball-playing lock?
Well, he's a talented football player who could play that position. I don't know, but he's he's played really good footy at fullback. He's played really good footy in the halves as well. I don't know. I'd get him in there somewhere. I'm sorry I can't specifically answer that one, but he's got to find a position for him somewhere, doesn't he?
Mate,
You're a big Adam Dewey fan.
I'm a massive Adam Dewey fan. I'm not sold 100% that he couldn't be the 6 for Hastings 7.
Yeah.
And Brooks be a 14.
Okay.
I'm not fully don't get me wrong, the Tigers have looked much better with Hastings at 7 and Brooks at 6.
Yep.
But in saying that, they won with Madden at 6. And I think that Brooks is a 14. He would almost be kind of like Benny Hunt at Origin. He reminds me a little bit of Benny Hunt in the Origin, where he can come on through the middle, his running game. If that isn't the case, if you want to stick with Hastings Brooks, which has seemed to work since Hastings has got there, then Adam Dewey at 13 is a good option. But Joe Offengalway has been improving week in, week out. Matter of fact, I think he had his best game since he's arrived at the club on the weekend at 13.
Yeah, right.
So much so that him at 13, when he originally got selected there, I was like, I don't believe he's a 13. I think he's a front rower and that's it.
Yep.
But I think his ball playing has improved out of sight. The amount of work he gets through is improved out of sight. His match fitness, his ball running. So it's a real tough one. Do you want to take away from a guy that's clearly developing and could be there longer term? Or do you want to throw a guy in that doesn't have much match fitness, hasn't been in the middle for really ever of his career?
Yes.
So, look, right now, if I had to select, I would go for his return game. I'd chuck him in the centres. I'd have Brooks at 6. I'd have Hastings at 7 and Offengalway at 13 and see how it goes from there.
Yep. Good analysis. I like that one. Thanks for the question, Marty. That was like a Dustin Johnson 300-yard bomb.
Wow.
With a TP5.
It's a fair bomb.
Yeah, it's the ball, the TP5, the tailor-made TP5. It's the ball that beats the number one ball in golf, Kempy.
What a ball.
Oh, no, it's a great ball.
What a ball
Great
to beat the number one golf ball.
Another question here. Kempy, when is Bloke going to get involved with some TPAs, as in third-party arrangements for players?
Oh, wow. Look.
And it says it may just get Cameron Munster over the line with the Brisbane Broncos.
Look,
what? Hang on a minute.
Look, Braith.
Hang on. I'm trying to put the pieces of the puzzle here together. Bloke Beer, Cam Munster, your former club, the Broncos. What's doing?
Braith, give me a call, mate. Braith, give me a call, mate. Let's work something out. something out.
Braith and Asta we're talking about.
We're talking about Braith and
Cam
Asta, who is
Munster's agent.
Cam Munster's agent. Give me a call, Braith. I'm sure we can work something out.
Right.
A few golden handshakes, if you would. But look, to be honest, just because I stayed in a penthouse does not mean I'm in a position to be paying any third-party deals at all.
Maybe down the track.
Maybe down the track. But yeah, mate, in saying all of that, the fact that the Broncos are going so well, the fact that Munster was a fan of the Broncos growing up,
yes,
he may not get the same huge deal as he would get at the Dolphins, but it could become more appealing.
Has that gone off the radar a little bit? The whole Munster,
yeah, it's an interesting
seemed to
one.
quieten down a little bit.
I think it's because the last 2 weeks he probably hasn't been as good, and so the hype around his form.
Oh, but then the chat was saying, that's why they offered him unders.
Yeah. Bizarre. Yeah,
silliness.
Two okay games, and all of a sudden, that's the answer. Anyway,
ridiculous.
Let's head to a break. After the break, we'll continue getting to your texts and calls. Welcome back to the Captain's Run with the great Smithy. Smithy, it's time for tips.
Okay, here we go.
Here we go. Now, obviously, we've got our first game tonight. We've got the Storm versus Manly. What do you got here?
I'm predicting Storm will bounce back after a almighty spray from the coach during the week.
Oh, my God.
Yes.
The spray would have been biblical.
Epic.
Panthers, Cowboys.
Panthers too strong in a very, very good game of footy.
Broncos, Titans.
Broncos.
Warriors, Knights.
Warriors.
Rabbitohs, Tigers.
I'm going to go Rabbits.
Sharkies, Roosters.
I'm going Chalks.
Doggies, Dragons.
Dragons.
Raiders, Eels.
I'm going to go upset of the week, Raiders.
Wow. Anyway, thanks for joining us, guys. Go to the app, download us Apple and Spotify, and we'll see you next week.
See ya.